Today I'm going to tell you the story, The School Among the Pines. A leopard lay in the warm, sunshiny June morning on the grass. It was appeared to be sleeping, but then it heard a noise. It twitched its ears and listened. Upon hearing distant voices, the leopard moved away towards the boulders and disappeared over the horizon. Soon, about 2 minutes later, 3 children emerged from the woods. They were a girl and 2 boys. They were singing a song in their local dialect. 5 more miles to go. We run through the rain and snow, a river to cross, a mountain to pass. Now 4 more miles to go. I'm tired, Bina, said the little boy, Sonu. Bina smiled at Sonu. Don't worry, Sonu. After we cross the stream, we will be near Naughty and other children will join us. But we can rest here in the stream for some time. And so, Bina was 12 years old and so was Prakash. But Prakash had to repeat a year because of his mischievous nature. Sonu was in the 4th grade. Sonu was in the 3rd grade. He was 10 years old and Sonu and Prakash were 12. As they sat down on the boulder, Bina asked Prakash, "You would prefer to look after the cows, wouldn't you?" Prakash had told his indignant parents, "What's the hurry? You're not sending me to a foreign land when I finish school, and our cows aren't running away either." That's why Bina had said, "You would prefer to look after the cows, wouldn't you?" "Nah, school's all right," said Prakash. "Wait till you see old Mr. Money. He always gets our names mixed up, and last session, instead of taking maths class, he took a geography lesson." "More fun than maths," said Bina. As Prakash had told Sonu that they can wait here for a few minutes, Bina had examined Prakash's watch in his wrist. He always wears it. The dial was badly scratched. "Are you sure it still gives the right time?" Bina asked. "Well, it loses 10 minutes in the day, it loses 5 minutes in a day, so I keep it 10 minutes forward at night. So by morning it is quite accurate," said Prakash. And soon Prakash said, "Everyone asks me for the time. If they don't, I tell them. Mr. Money always asks me for the time. If he doesn't, I tell him. I tell everyone the time. I love it telling the time," said Prakash. "Our clock in the classroom keeps stopping." Prakash always loves telling the time by his watch. Bina got up and started walking quickly. She said, and she was excited about the aspect of a new school and new surroundings. Sonu had a bit of trouble keeping up with Prakash and Bina. Soon, when they crossed the stream, they got joined other children coming from different directions. Bina had gone to her own school in the small village of Kohli. She had seldom been outside her own village, with a single ration shop and a primary school going up till the 5th. Now, in order to study in the 6th, Bina would have to walk several miles to Naughty, where there was a high school going up to the 8th. And it had been decided that Sonu would shift schools too to give Bina company. Upon reaching, they saw a huge crowd settled in the playground of the school. Prakash ran forward to see what it was all about. Bina and Sonu kept to a corner in the sunlight. Then Prakash came running back and said, along the way, Prakash had asked almost everyone the time. It's 9 o'clock, he would announce. Isn't your bus leaving today? Off with you, said the bus driver. I'll leave when I am ready. Bina and Sonu kept quiet. But Prakash knew almost everyone in the area. He exchanged gossip and greetings with mule takers, bus drivers, and children, of course. And when Prakash came running to them he said, it's Mr. Money. He's disappeared. No one knows where he is. They're saying a leopard must have carried him off. Mr. Money had gone out for his early morning walk. He said he'd be back by 8 o'clock to have his breakfast and move on to school from there. But then, when it was past 9 o'clock, his sister had assumed that he had stopped in a neighbor's house for breakfast and had gone on to school from there. He loves tucking into other people's breakfast, lunch, and dinners. And then when the school bell rang at 10 o'clock and everyone but Mr. Money was present, questions were asked and guesses were made. But by 11 o'clock, when Mr. Money came out, where somebody had found a red strip of cloth in a blackberry bush and ran around showing it to everyone. Mr. Money had been known to wear red pajamas, but where were his remains? And then why was he in his pajamas? When the school bell rang at 11 o'clock, Mr. Money showed up, wondering what all the fuss was about. Mr. Money wasn't really old. He was about 55 and was due to retire soon. But for children, grown-ups over 40 seemed ancient. And Mr. Money had been quite absent-minded even as a young man. He wasn't married, but his sister and her husband stayed with him. Well, Bina and Sonu had stayed in a patch of sunlight. While feeling a little lost, Bina was looking for Prakash. She was facing a dark, slender lady and said, Hi, are you in the 6th class? You must be new here, said the lady. Well, I'm in the 6th class. My name is Bina and this is Sonu. He's in the 3rd, she said. Well, then if you're in the 6th class, I'll be your teacher. My name is Tanya Ramola. She was the new teacher that Prakash had told them about. Bina noticed that she had lovely hands. It was obvious that the teacher hadn't milked cows or worked in the fields. Well, one day, Bina had gotten used to all her long walks through the town from Kohli village to Naughty. One day while coming through, Bina became aware that spring was the season for flowers and new beginnings. One day, Mr. Money came to his school very light-headed and a permanent frown in his face, and was very sleepless. It took a while for his pupils to find out what was wrong. When they did, they felt sorry for their teacher. It was all about the porcupines. Mr. Money's potatoes were flourishing. He had potato garden in his fields, and all the porcupines were coming and squashing up all of the delicious, healthy, leafy plants. And Mr. Money was very sad. Prakash came up with the idea to build a moat, also known as a water ditch. No one could disprove Prakash's theory about that porcupines hate water. The children asked the headmaster if they could plan make a moat for Mr. Money, especially as it meant getting most of the day off. The headmaster said, "Anything for Mr. Money." The other children watched as envy at the pupils of grade 5 started digging in the ditch with spades which had been collected from all over the town, Northeast. Soon they had dug a beautiful ditch, but as it was still dry, the porcupines got in again the next night. Mr. Money said, "At this rate, there won't be any potatoes left to save." Well, the next day, his class managed to divert the water from a stream into the moat. It was so satisfying and nice to see the water flow gently into the stream. But by nightfall, the moat had overflowed, and Mr. Money's potato field was flooded, and he found himself trapped inside his house. Well, but Prakash and his class had won the day. The porcupines stayed away that night. The next, Bina had been aware that spring was the season for new beginning and flowers. One day she picked beautiful flowers along the way from her walk. She in just enough to make a little posy. The little display fitted perfectly into an old inkwell. She placed it in Tanya Ramola's desk. When Miss Ramora saw the beautiful flowers, she said, "Wow, who put these here?" Bina kept quiet. The other students smiled at her secretively. So after that, they soon began taking turns to bring a little flowers for Miss Tanya Ramola's desk. It was the monsoon rains arrived. They couldn't wait. It was the best. The first few droplets of rain started when Bina, Sonu and Prakash were returning from their school. They laughed and enjoyed it a lot. Bina and Sonu would help their mother in the fields, doing most of the housework and doing it. If it rained lightly, they would work in the rain, their bare legs clinging to the mud. But if the rain would get heavy, they would run inside the house. The rainy season was the best. Miss Tanya Ramola, back in her cabin, was trying to find a nice and dry spot. The buckets were scattered everywhere. It was an old building and there were holes and leaks everywhere in the roof. Soon autumn arrived. The autumn leaves all fell down. Sonu enjoyed kicking the leaves around. But one day, while Sonu was walking ahead of the others, he tripped on something and fell. When he got up, he saw that it was the remains of the small animal. He said, "Bina, Prakash, come here." Bina and Prakash came here. It was the remains of a sheep killed few days earlier. "Only a leopard could have done this," said Prakash. "Let's not stay here anymore," said Sonu. "I'm feeling scared." "Leopards don't attack humans," said Bina. "They will if they get a taste for people," said Prakash. "This one hasn't killed anyone yet," said Bina. Well, she wasn't sure for sure. Weren't there been rumors that a leopard was attacking some workers near the dam in Tehri? Well, Miss Tanya Remola's brother was a pilot. He flew planes all around the world. Perhaps he would fly a plane over Tehri, Northi one day. And then they used to not want to linger around that lovely spot for a few days. It was a trip to Tehri. The students were going to see how the construction of the dam was coming along. Well, the dam was being constructed just 40 miles away. Very few had been in a train and none of them had been in a ship. But they all knew about the dam being constructed just 40 miles away in the top of Tehri. They were going to go there for their field trip. Miss Ramola had arranged her class to go too. Mr. Money didn't like Miss Ramola one bit. He thought since he was about to retire, so Miss Ramola was about to replace him. And so he complained to the headmaster that this is a new teacher, why should she have a senior class than him? He said that Mr. Money was due to retire at the end of the year and the school did not wish to burden him with a senior class. By Mr. Money, whenever Ms. Ramola smiled at Mr. Money looked the other way. But before long back, Mr. Money was asked why was his pajamas there found near the blackberry bush. He said they were blown off the washing line. Mr. Money was very silly man. Well, not wanting to be left out, Mr. Money too arranged to take his class as well. That means there was about 50 boys and girls taking part in the trip. The little bus could only take 30. So they found a friendly truck driver who offered to take few of the children if they were prepared to sit on sacks of potatoes. Prakash had convinced the road roller man, to take them up through Tehri with him and a few friends in the driver's seat. And so, when they were out, the bus started early at 9 o'clock. The truck and the road roller were to follow later. Along the journey, the Mr. Money and Miss Ramola had started an argument about the advantages and disadvantages about the dam being constructed at Tehri. Miss Ramola said it will bring water to many of those in the plains. Mr. Money said the dam was constructed in an earthquake zone. What a disaster would happen if the dam burst. This argument became quite heated. It was to continue for the rest of the journey as well. They spoke sometimes in Hindi, sometimes in English, and sometimes in their local dialect. So one day, while they were going, Bina refused to look down. She hated the hairpin bends and the sharp curves along the mountain. They had to climb up. She had began to wish that she didn't come, or that she had joined Prakash in the road roller or in the truck. The bus took along with Ms. Ramola and her class and Mr. Money and few of his pupils in the bus. Soon they rode. Even so, Noon's class had joined the trip. They were in the truck. Soon, while going up, Bina felt better after the road leveled out near Tehri. Prakash once spotted Bina at the window seat and waved cheerfully. Bina replied feebly, but the road roller driver hadn't shown up. But Prakash and his friends had managed to reverse it and get it going in the direction of Tehri. About 10 miles before Tehri, the road roller had broken down. And so Prakash and his friends were forced to walk in foot. Then they saw a mule boy who was riding on one mule, while the other mules hadn't had any drivers or loads. Can you give us a ride to Tehri? Asked Prakash. Make yourselves comfortable, replied the boy. There were 5 or 6 mules behind him. The boys climbed up on the mules. It was sort of fun experience. None of them had never ridden mules before. Well, Miss Ramola and Mr. Money and their class had stopped at a tea stall to have cups of tea. The argument was becoming quite heated when the truck arrived, but there was still no sign of the road roller, and so it was decided that Miss Ramola's and Sonu's group went ahead while Mr. Money stayed behind and waited for the road roller. Soon Miss Ramola and her class and everyone returned back, but there was no sign of Mr. Money. Prakash and his friends had also arrived in Tehri, but there was no sign of anyone from their school. Miss Ramola and his group soon found Prakash and his friends, and they soon began looking for Mr. Money. When they were just about to give up the search, when Mr. Money emerged from one corner from the bazaar and came with a big sack. More potatoes, sir? Said Prakash. No, boy, dahila bulbs, said Mr. Money. Soon on the return journey, Prakash and his friends sat in the truck. There was plenty of room there. Because Mr. Money refused to be separated from his bag of dahila bulbs, he was requested to go and sit in the truck with his friends. Soon they reached back home. It was late, and for most of the kids to walk back to the more distant villages. And so girls were put up in beds in the house, in the school veranda, and boys were put up in some of the houses in the village. Bina had bought a cotton head scarf for her mother. Since it was the autumn season, it was pretty cold, so she used it and wrapped it around her head. There was a little dim light coming from the single bulb that lit up the veranda and that covered moths. And there were also moths around in Prakash's place. Counting moths, Prakash soon fell asleep, but Bina stayed awake for some time. She heard the sound of a barking deer. She wasn't the only one to hear it too. And so did the leopard. It pounced on its prey. The deer was its usual prey, but there weren't many left. Soon, one day when the Bina, Sonu and Prakash were walking near the stream, they heard a low rumble. Prakash now owned a black dog which ran barking at every creature and human in Koli. But he said it was a very clever dog and would protect the village from the leopard. But others said that his dog would run straight into the jaws of Mr. Spots the leopard. The dog had ran forward with it, and soon it came back with tail between its legs. It was a landslide, The children couldn't go any further because it had taken away the path. We can't go to school now, said Prakash. They soon turned around and started trotting back. Prakash's parents had heard the noise and were searching for the children. When Prakash reached home, he said, Cabbage and roti. I don't like this dinner at all. Bina and Sonu were like, stuffed tomatoes and lemon pickle. They loved this food. It was the autumn season. It was the monsoon season, and Mr. Money's dahlias were in full bloom. Well, Prakash, Bina was worried that they might not be able to enter their final exams. But Prakash didn't worry so much that they would miss their exams, but he didn't like feeling helpless just because of a trail. So he and his dog went and explored the trail around, and soon he found a good trail going around, but it increased their walk by a mile. But Bina didn't seem to mind as long as she would be able to attend her exams. But there was just one problem with this trail. It passed through the leopard's lair. The leopard had made this its home since forced to being moved out of the dam area. Soon, one day while walking across the roads, they saw the leopard. They were so motionless and they couldn't even make a run for it. But the leopard didn't harm them. Prakash said, It knows we are here, but it doesn't mind. She knows that we won't harm them. We are cubs too, said Sonu. Soon they all went marching back. Soon they all went marching ahead. The next day while going, they saw a few little cubs beside the leopard. So it's a female, said Bina. That's why she has been killing so often. She needed to feed her litter too. And soon Bina, Sonu and Prakash were walking the landslide was soon cleared. Bina, Sonu and Prakash were walking on a normal trail again. Soon there was a crowd of people in front of Mr. Money's house. What was it again? Was he lost? Was it the porcupines? But it was none of these things. Mr. Money's first dahlias were in bloom. The whole town had come to see it. There were red dahlias, spotted dahlias, white dahlias, yellow dahlias, purple dahlias, pink dahlias, you name it. Mr. Money had them all. There was a big red dahlia that had to be supported with 2 sticks in order to stand. It was so heavy. Mr. Money's sister had told him, Be careful of those porcupines. They eat dahlia bulbs too. Mr. Money made an inspection tour of his moat. It was well good. Prakash had done his job well. Well, Mr. Money he was actually very, very absent-minded. One day, his sister had made special mutton broth pie to go and give it to the postmaker, who was down with the flu. When the postmaker received his bottle, all he found inside were a few drops at the bottom. Mr. Money had drank the rest somewhere along the way. Well, soon, even a dahlia appeared at Miss Ramola's desk that day. Some days later, in her posy. Soon, Bina and Sonu's father came. He was a soldier and was away for 9 months in the year. The leopard didn't like the rainy season as well. It couldn't cling to the grass with leeches not getting in. They were the worst part of the rainy season. They had to use salt to remove them. Poor leopards, they didn't have salt. Well, this is all about my story, The School Among the Pines.